Okay, let's get started. Hi everyone, this is Rod Hodgman, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you especially in light of the fact that we had to reschedule this webinar from last week due to Hurricane Sandy. Hope everyone's doing okay. This is our second of 3 webinars. The first one looked at online self-service, which is an initiative to make it possible for insurance organizations, banks, financial institutions, government agencies, healthcare, people who transact with customers through complex paper forms to be able to move all that online and allow your customers the convenience of online self-service, allowing them to do anything online, including transactions. If you missed that, you can find that recording on our events page, and it's up there ready to go. This event, however, looks at using tablets to collect information in the field. It's entitled Replacing Paper and Clipboards with SmartForms and Tablets. I'll be your first speaker. My name is Rod Hodgman. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Alliances here at Avoka. And after I go through about 8 or 9 slides, Jeff Kalicki, who's one of our account managers, is going to join us and take us through some examples of what customers are doing today with our tablet-based mobile data collection solutions. So let's get started. Let's start by quickly asserting that tablet-based data collection can have a huge impact on critical business metrics. Lowering cost. Look, moving information from paper or static forms directly into your business systems is costly. It costs between $5 and $50 per form depending on several factors. But the point is you're paying a lot of money if you're collecting information in the field this way. The other big issue is data quality. If you move to an online solution, then validating data during the collection process leads to substantially higher data quality, which is going to reduce cost and shorten the process. And the third thing is automating the field data collection process is going to increase your field worker productivity and substantially reduce the total process time. Now, in most cases, what we found is that the cost savings to achieve these benefits of increased data quality and field worker productivity are such that most of these projects deliver an ROI in as little as 9 to 12 months, sometimes even less. Let's also assert some of the key benefits of tablets. They're low cost, costing between $500 and $900 per device. They turn on instantly. They have a very long battery life. They're lightweight, weighing on average about 1.25 pounds to 1.5 pounds. They provide great connectivity options, including wireless connectivity or 4G connectivity. They're unbelievably easy to use with nice touch-based interfaces, and they're great for sharing information with other people. All these characteristics make tablets a great mobile device for the field. Let's also assert that tablets are growing at an unprecedented pace. In April of 2010, the tablet market was born with the launch of the iPad, and within 18 months, the tablet sales had penetrated 11% of U.S. households. No other technology has penetrated society so quickly. To get another perspective on the growth of the tablet, here are the first 8 quarters of shipments of Apple iPhones, iPads, and iPods, all plotted against one another. So the Apple iPods are on the bottom in the green. On top of that are the iPhone shipments for the first 8 quarters in orange, and on top of that are the iPad shipments for the first 8 quarters of shipment in blue. And it's just amazing to see how fast the uptake was for this device compared to Apple's previous product introductions. The point of showing the rapid growth in tablet adoption is to highlight how the views of tablets have changed in the enterprise. In 2010, tablets were thought of as consumer devices. In 2011, that view began to shift to tablets have value for some enterprises. And today, with more than 120 million units sold, the enterprise view has become tablets are ideal for the enterprise, especially for mobile field workers. In fact, during a recent earnings call with analysts, Apple executives stated that up to 92% of Fortune 500 companies were currently testing or deploying iPads. So where are they being deployed and tested in? Well, there are 2 clear use cases for tablets in the field. One use case is for sales teams. Tablets enable sales forces to sell more efficiently, especially when conducting face-to-face meetings with customers. And part of that selling process, selling more efficiently, is being able to execute high-impact transactions, high-impact customer transactions with the customer, such as customer onboarding, customer contracts, customer orders, or initiating critical processes like the adverse reaction demo that we'll see later on today in our demonstrations. A good example of this is Boston Scientific, a medical device manufacturer that recently distributed about 5,000 tablets to its field salespeople. The other use case is enabling field service personnel to use tablets to collect information in the field. There are many use cases here, including asset tracking, construction management, field service, fleet management, on-site inspections, and on-site audits. And that's what we'll look at today in our customer example is on-site inspections and on-site audits. And a good example of this is Siemens Energy. Their wind service technicians have to scale 300-foot wind towers to service the turbines. The company is outfitting them with tablets so they no longer have to carry and use laptops while in the field. Sounds like a good idea to me. But look, at the end of the day, it's true, tablets are ideal for field personnel if they have the right applications that effectively support the work that mobile field workers need to perform in the field. This all comes down to the software that we can provide our field workers. And software is very important here because mobile data capture applications are very different than most applications. They have a very different set of characteristics and attributes that have to be designed into the solution. They have to provide similar or better patterns of interaction than those provided of paper. They have to provide guided user experiences so that we can successfully get the mobile field worker through the complete process. They have to deliver an appropriate experience for the device's capabilities and screen size. They have to enable the mobile field worker to collect data with or without a network. They have to be able to maximize data quality through data validation, mandatory fields, business rules, automated recommendations, and much, much more. They're very complex and require a unique set of skills in order to get correct. There are two common but unsatisfying approaches to solving this problem today. The first is the many small point solutions that provide essentially mobile forms capabilities. These point solutions are incomplete, not satisfactory for the enterprise, and don't address most of the IT requirements that are needed to successfully deploy in the enterprise. And at the other end of the spectrum is the large ERP or CRM-based custom application development cycles. This approach is extremely costly, lengthy, very risky, and worst of all, not set up to deliver the kind of solution that will meet the requirements that mobile workers require. It's time for a new approach. It's time for a mobile data capture platform, and that's what we're going to look at today. Our SmartForm Factory solution is an enterprise mobile data collection platform that provides everything you need to make mobile data capture quick and easy. It's an end-to-end solution. SmartForm Factory supports the entire data collection lifecycle, including attachments, payments, signatures, managed deployment, and security. It's aimed at business analysts, so non-technical users can easily create, deploy, and manage powerful HTML, HTML5, or PDF data capture applications, while IT still has the management and control they need. It enables a design once, run everywhere capability, which means that a single design can be rendered as an HTML5 or a PDF desktop application for desktop devices, as well as a responsive, touch-oriented HTML5 app or for iOS, Android, or Windows tablets and smartphones. It has best practices built in. We've built thousands of SmartForm applications for clients, and we have encapsulated all that knowledge into SmartForm Factory so that you can easily deliver the features and intelligent interaction patterns necessary for success. And it's designed for large organizations. SmartForm Factory delivers the security, reliability, quality of service, and availability large organizations require. It eliminates single points of failure and provides load balancing with the ability to add new nodes on demand. The other part of the solution is the Avoka SmartForm Field Worker app. This is an app. It's available in all the app stores, such as Google Play and the Apple App Store, that runs on iPads, Android tablets, and Microsoft Windows devices. It extends these devices by synchronizing the data capture application automatically to the device so that the users can fill out the data capture applications online or offline. It holds submitted data temporarily on the device, encrypted, so that user can complete the submissions when they're able to do that. It enables the use of device capabilities, including camera and geolocation services, as well as sign-on glass. It enforces security, including password protection and encrypted data on the device and over the wire. and it synchronizes all the applications when a new or updated data capture application is deployed to the field. So let's look at why we need a platform. There's a couple of really important reasons here. One reason, in a word, is mobile. Mobile is a whole new world, and everyone is scrambling to get up to speed. There are all sorts of new technologies to deal with, new screen sizes, new interaction models that focus on touch rather than a mouse and keyboard, and a whole lot of new skills that are needed in order to make the transition. The next part is, the other reason is complexity. As I mentioned before, delivering the intelligent interaction patterns necessary for success require features such as attachments, signatures, payments, partial saves, online-offline processing, error handling, data synchronization. What else is on here? Configurable business rules, high-show logic, automated field validation, tables, repeating sections, in-field calculations, pre-population and cross-population, collapsible sections, inline help. It goes on and on and on in order to provide the interaction patterns that will encourage and allow mobile field workers to use these devices effectively. All this has to be considered within the platform. And the next is, this might be less obvious, but it's no less important, is analytics. Being able to measure and analyze how the solution is performing in the field is critical. You must have the analytical information you need to continuously improve the user experience for your mobile field terms. At the end of the day, as I said before, this is not about technology. It's about improving the efficiency and effectiveness of your field workers. And finally, we can all recognize that internal development is lengthy. Most internal mobile data capture development efforts are completed under scope and well beyond schedule. They're costly. All development projects are expensive, but data capture applications require unique, and by here I mean read expensive, user interface and user experience skills that most IT departments lack. And they're risky. The skill risks, the mobile knowledge risks, the best practice risks are just a few of the many risks involved in in-house mobile data capture applications. So the Avoka SmartForm Factory platform, as you're going to see today, makes mobile easy. It's essentially a mobile enterprise application platform specifically for data collection applications. It makes data collection simple because it's got all the best practices built in and easily to be deployed into your applications. It provides all the analytics that you need to optimize the performance and the usability of the solution, and it's available today. So let's have a look at what some of our clients are doing with our mobile field worker solution today. I'm going to turn the demonstration over to Jeff, and he's going to walk us through some really great customer example applications.
Okay, thanks, Rod. Change over to me. Okay, so I've got that. All right, so we're going to take a look at a couple of field worker use cases like Rod said, but before we do, what I want to do is have a quick look at the platform itself, the Avoka SmartForm Factory platform, just to kind of put a few things into context to fill in some of the gaps that Rod just kind of went through. So one of the things is you have to kind of look at Avoka SmartForm Factory is an enterprise data collection application platform. What that means is you can actually create these data collection applications and deploy them either to online self-service. As you can see in the top left-hand, of this diagram, you can see the web plugin or the portal. So you can deploy those up there onto your sites. But it also allows mobile data collection, so organizations can replace paper and clipboards with tablets and intelligent data capture applications out in the field. And obviously, this is going to be the focus of what we're going to run through today on the use cases. So again, if we look at this diagram and how SmartForm Factory is deployed, once it's in place, you can basically transform any of these forms that you've got or these data collection applications and either, again, like I say, push them out to web-based websites or portals or an existing portal or the field worker application. But to start that, you're going to start with the creation down in the bottom left-hand corner, and that's using SmartForm Composer, and that's going to allow you to actually create the data capture application, and that's where we're able to move that development closer to the business, so the people that are closer to the business can define those rules, define the data that we're collecting out in the field, and then be able to push that to SmartForm Manager, which will manage the transactions of synchronizing the devices, as well as, getting transactions back into it and delivering them to, our backend sites or integration points, right? But as I need to push a new piece of information out to the field to collect additional information I want, instead of having to go to IT to do that, I can go to Composer, build that, go through the appropriate approvals that I put in place, deploy it, and then the next time my field workers synchronize, they're going to pick that up, right? So with that, let's move over to our use cases. And I'll set the first one up here. So basically we're going to look at a pharmaceutical company, Fortune 500 US-based pharmaceutical company that had, and actually all pharmaceutical companies or drug companies have the need to be able to report adverse effects that's going on with a potential patient and things like that. Right now they're doing it on paper-based, and so by moving it to a more electronic form, they're going to be able to to reduce that down. So right now it's very very lengthy. It's very costly, as Rod kind of pointed out, and there's a lot of risk with having paper-based collection out into the field. What happens if it doesn't get submitted properly or on time? There's just a lot of things that can go wrong with that type of solution. So let's take a look at how that was done. So what I'm going to do here is actually open a camera up onto my desktop. This is just looking down onto my desktop. Actually, I'll just kind of go back out to the screen. You can kind of see this is my iPod or iPad, and you can see here I've got the field worker application already kind of loaded into there, right? So if I click on that, so again, it's a native application I'm going to download from the iTunes store in this case. So if you kind of think through the scenario as a salesperson, early in the morning when I'm connected in my office, whether it's at home or out on site, I can actually log into the application. And what that's going to do for me, if I can log in with the correct password, what that's going to do, you'll see if I actually tap this little connected mode here, you can see it'll kind of force a synchronization. And what that's going to do, and it'll auto-synchronize as well, but that's going to basically take any forms that are available to me. So think about it in your briefcase that you may go out in the field with blank forms to fill out. That's really what this form section here is all about, right? That's going to give me those forms. So any new form that an administrator has updated or made available to me, just by logging into the app and it's synchronizing, I pull down those automatically. Now I also get the task list here in the middle, which is going to be if something's being assigned out to me. Maybe as a field worker I actually have specific location I need to go to and do a specific audit or something like that. Obviously assignments can be made that way as well. And then history lets me track what's going on with items that I've done out into the field. So if we look at this, as a field worker, it gives me a simple, easy to navigate way to the piece I want. So you can see, let's say I go out into the field, and again, once I'm kind of out in the field, even if I, launched into something else, I can always come back to it. Even if I log out, it'll log back in. There's login capability. Even if I'm disconnected, there's a lease that it has and allows me to come in. So I could be out in the field, discover a new adverse effect that I need to report on. I can click on that. That gives me a description of the form and allows me to open that form up into the field. So just like as if I was to open my briefcase and pull out a piece of paper, this is basically allowing that to happen, but obviously electronically and be able to fill that out. And so you can see here it's got some pre-fill, so there's properties about myself that it knows. So you can see it's got a lot of pre-fill information about myself and my phone number already logged in, because as I report this back to the home office, these are fields that are required for me. Now you'll kind of notice, and I'll kind of point this out, because if you'll remember I talked about SmartForm Composer. So everything here from our logo down into this gray area, that's all being pushed by our business analyst. So that's who's driving what data needs to be collected, what are the rules around it, the hide show information, what's required. And then the outer border is really everything that's got to do with the field worker application itself. So managing attachments, submissions, and navigation as well. So here you can see that the composer designer set up a navigation on the bottom, so I can basically navigate through the form that way. So here I'm going to log in. Actually, this is recording the doctor's name, so we'll say this is Dr. Tom Pat. He is a reporter, or part of our program, so we can see we've got that recorded, what his address is. You'll also notice that validation was built in as I tried to navigate through it, and failing navigation is telling me and highlighting me, so visually giving me the response back as the field worker to what needed to be filled in and what the requirements would be, whether that's required fields or if I failed a validation as well, right? So again, the intelligence built into the application to make sure that I'm getting all the right information is built right into it. You'll notice as I pull up different fields that the controls are built for the device. Actually, even some of the Android devices, the controls a little bit different. We're going to handle that for you. So I think like on some of the Samsung, you'll see that down on the bottom here. But here we can say, look, it's not available, and we can see that field that was next to it, is no longer there. Intelligence built into it to know what type of dosage format is there is already kind of built into it. So the data integrity is, again, can be baked in there by the business. So I can say what was the action that we took. We can say drug was discontinued. It also allows a lot of dynamic pieces. So let's say that we knew there were some other medications that were being taken at the same time. I could literally go in and record as many as those I want onto the onto the bottom. So you can kind of see that there at the bottom of the screen, and then I can even delete those off, if not. So all the dynamic capabilities you would expect into a data capture application, are there. Again, I can continue to move through. Now, you'll also notice, so we can, again, we see validations built into it, so we can say, that the problem was chest pains. We can next say the patient was okay. And now you can kind of see this is going to be some dynamic aspects built into the form again. We can say, look, what labs are available for us here. So we'll say, well, we've got cardiac labs, and also, well, let's say we just did that lab. Actually, let's do it this way. If I take off and say there's no labs and navigate through it, it's basically saying, okay, you're done, and you can go ahead and sign that and push that in. But if I back up and didn't mean to back up that far. Get to the right spot here. Oh, hang on just a second. So I'm actually going to restart it. I had a rule built in there that when I went by it, it won't show me the pieces I wanted to show you. So I'm going to reopen that form. So it was resynchronizing for us. So again, put this piece out. Say we don't know the patient information. So this time we're going to say there's cardiac labs available and also hematologic labs available. And this is basically going to dynamically build the section for us to ask, again, our validations are still built in. it's going to basically walk us through, the piece here saying, okay, well, if there's cardiac labs available, do you have a copy of those? So if I come in and say, no, I don't, it'll ask me to go ahead and put the information in that we know about it. If I say, yes, I actually do have it, it's going to allow me to take a picture of the document. So I'm actually going to click that. That's going to open up my camera controls. And I'm going to lean over to a piece of paper here, so I'm going to take it off from under my camera. I'll put it back under there and say we're going to use that one. And so basically we took a picture of the actual lab report from the doctor, so we can put that in place. And then we can kind of do the same thing going through the the additional charts. So here I'll say no on this one, and we can push in some information. And then we're down to the part where we actually get to sign the document. So in this case, we're signing on the glass. And then we can actually submit the document from here. And so you can imagine if I'm in the field, this again, I could be disconnected or connected. If I'm disconnected, it's going to store this securely on a device. So there is the ability to make that kind of secure submission. And then when I come back into connectivity, again, we'll see synchronization happen, and we can go. And so here, if you notice in the upper right-hand corner, we can actually see synchronization is happening, as we speak here. So what's going to happen in this particular case is we're going to have, in this case, there's a workflow that SmartForm Manager has taken the submission in, and it's going to deliver to a workflow. So we're going to get all the information that we've collected out in the field, apply it to a business process, and any rules that need to happen with that business process, so we can assure that activity happens when it should be happening, right? So as quickly as we can make it happen. We want that capability. So what we're going to do, I'm going to log into a back-end system here. I'll pull that up. And so this is our back-end workflow system. And so actually we can see the task just arrived. So we go over to do, and look, we can see there's a review piece in here. I'm going to click on that, and what we're going to see is basically a rendition of the form that was created out into the field, right? And so here's all the information that we put into our form, and it's all filled out the way we did. It's even got the signature down on the bottom, so we can see who signed it. And then even as important, we added that cardiac cardio attachment. I can basically pull that up, and then there's the document as well. So someone can review that, make the decision on the back end to make sure that things are triggered, in a very timely manner, into the field. So in this case, I can hit approve. And what's going to happen in that case, if you'll remember, we actually had even the ability to see over in the field worker, if you want, and again, you can configure this to what makes sense for the process, but you could have it where it'll actually, that workflow could be communicating back to the field as well to let them know what's going on. So in this case, if we go back to our camera, we can see, here's the field worker app. If I click on history, there's the one we just did, and this actual status here, this green line, is actually being pushed from that back-end workflow system. So that was the approval action that we gave. And then I could even click the view form here if I wanted to actually see a copy of that form while I'm out into the field, right? So again, a very concise way, makes it very simple and easy for the field worker to get at the information that need. In this case, if you really think about the form that's being asked to be done, it's actually multiple pages long, but depending on how you answer certain things, determine what you need to put into the field, and so it actually makes it more streamlined, easier for them to collect that information out in the field, and then move on, and get that to obviously into that workflow, right? So I don't have to worry about, when I get back to the office, make sure I deliver that paper. It just happened automatically as soon as I come into connectivity, right? So there's no chance of me forgetting. There's no chance of me kind of blowing it from that perspective.
That's awesome, Jeff. I mean, what it means is for this company, this pharmaceutical company, their field reps can now submit these adverse effect forms in a matter of minutes, something that probably took them days to do before, and they're going to do it at much less cost than any way they were doing it before. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, and the field worker, the sales force that's out there, the guy who's visiting with the drug rep, he's deep in the basement of a hospital. He doesn't have to worry about connectivity, right? He pulls it up, he's full access. He can record all the information, still get the signature, save it, and then, or even submit it, but it's not actually going back to the server. But then as soon as it's connected, it takes care of it for him. So
terrific.
All right, so let's take a look at another use case. So in this case, get this out of the way so we can see the slide. In this case, this is kind of going to look at basically a property inspection. So kind of a, if you think about field worker audits, inspections, those are very typical use cases, something that you see quite a bit. So this is a financial company that has assets around properties, and they need to be able to go out and audit these or do an inspection on these type deals. Right now what they do is paper. They come back to their office, they transfer it all into Excel, and then they start an email process to try and make that work. So obviously it's wrought with errors, it's lengthy, it takes time to retype all the different pieces, and it's very unstructured with the email XML process or spreadsheet process that's going on now. So it ends up with poor customer satisfaction to the groups that are doing it, for the business units that they are doing it for, and obviously offline is needed. And so what we did is put SmartForm Factory into place, and that basically allowed the data collection out in there. It also allowed the assignments to be made, and it completely eliminated the need for rekeying information. It allowed direct integration to back-end systems, and it provided the workflow that they needed to do the approvals. So let's take a look at that one. So what I'm going to do is pull my camera back up here. And wake this guy back up. Now one of the things you'll notice, so again, when we looked at the forms here, this was kind of the blank forms that we were carrying out into the workplace, or into wherever I'm doing my work out in the field. Now I could partially fill one out, save it, and I can see it in my task list. I come back and finish it. But task list can also be where other applications or SmartForm Manager itself will do assignments out to field workers. So in this case, I can actually see that I have an assigned task. It's a property inspection. It's supposed to happen November 6th at around 3 p.m. If I click on that, I'll actually get some more details. Actually, any more descriptive details that would have been provided would show up there as well. But you'll notice now I've got two things. One is open and map. So map basically allows me to see a map of where the things are going to be. So if I've got mapping built into my device where it's going to allow me to do directions and things like that, I can click on directions and it'll take me directly to where I want to go. So that's kind of built into it. But I've also, once I'm where I'm going to click open, just like I did before, and basically open up the application itself, right? And here you'll see, again, I'm going to kind of point out the everywhere it's kind of the light blue, that's what's being presented to us by the business, right? So this is stuff that's in SmartForm Composer being pushed to the application. Now you'll notice here that the application was built with a navigation left. So again, all that kind of navigation in that data collection application can be done based on how you want that navigation to be. So I've got this navigation pane where if I happen to be, talking to them about the lease info, I could go directly to that particular piece. You'll also notice I've got navigation on the bottom. The one that we saw where it was the adverse reporting, it just let me walk through it panel by panel and kind of built, that particular piece out. But as the data collection application creator, I can choose that. Now, one of the things I might have also built into the form is, again, maybe take a picture. So I'm going to take a picture of I'll take a picture of my desktop, and you can kind of see here. We'll say we're going to use that one. So that's my 3 keyboards in front of me. So that's the property location that's in there. I can come in and say property type, and so let's say maybe this is going to be a multifamily. Now you'll notice down here on the bottom a whole new section came up, for multifamily. There are actually specific questions that go with that. Where if I say retail, we can see that changes. I think if I go office, there's no additional questions that are needed here. So again, it's going to be depending on what I'm choosing can drive entire sections. So you can imagine out in the field where someone may have to fill out 5, 6 different forms, you can build that into one intelligent collection application that is going to make it just easier for that field worker to do and make sure that the clean information is coming back in. So again, we'll kind of bounce through this. Actually, back up. I think one of the things, it's not on that screen. I'll have to look for it. One of the things I can do is actually, do a find address, kind of piece. So I'm going to say allow. And so I could basically say, so again, this is using a service to say, let me make sure I get a clean address as I put that in. And so I can actually see there's the address that I want. I can click on that, put that in place, and we actually even see the map for it. I can say, yep, that's exactly where I want that to be. And now it's kind of recorded the address for me. So I know I've got a nice clean address for my database. I'm going back in. So that's using a service there. Now another thing that I can do in this case is I go out and inspect this property. I can come in and say, well, we have, building 1, and I can, basically say it's, how many units are there? Let's say it's 4 units on this one. Rentable square units. We can just put some information in. Basically, fill out that kind of information. I can even hit geolocate on it, record my latitude and longitude, and then I could even hit add a building, right? So now maybe I've got multiple buildings. I could go to the next one, give it a name, geolocate it, record that, add another one, so on and so forth, and then kind of move through. So again, that dynamic ability to repeat on sections is going to be there. Put in additional information, again, built in to this one. Now you'll notice we've got the little red asterisk saying that I've got certain things that are required for me, but I've turned that, since I've got navigation panel left, I let you move panel to panel as the creator of the form. But if I came in and actually said, look, I want to actually submit this, it's going to tell me, and it's blurring out for you guys, but it actually gives me an alert message that says, please fix form validation errors before submitting. If I say OK, it basically returns me back to my form and shows me that in the lease info section I've got 1 error, and in the land detail section I've got 1 error. And so I can actually, and it obviously is highlighting the fields and taking me to them. So I can come in and say this is leasehold, go to my land details section, wants to know an appraised value. Put one of those in, and then kind of move through. So, and again, you'll remember back, because we chose retail, there's actually retail pieces that were needed, on this particular form. So these are specific to, data types that I've collected inside of there. And then also with a field worker application, built into it, you can see the front view was done from my form, and it's created that as an attachment. But I could also come in and say, look, I want to do a new attachment as well. Maybe there's a new picture I want to add to it. I'm just going to flip this around and take a picture of the camera pointing down on it. As the person, I can come in and say, you know, as the form builder, say these are the type of attachments that I want to allow. Let them do additional description around it, and now I've got two particular you know, pictures, and these could be required or not required. So you can imagine, you could say, you know, if it's an inspection or an audit and you say something failed, then you could mandatory put something in that says, well, then I need, you know, 3 pictures that show the problems or 1 picture that shows the problems, and they could just build those out. So you have optional and required type attachments that you define into the data collection application that then trigger the SmartForm field worker to act appropriately as I'm moving through. So in this case, I can say I'm done, hit submit, and again, the same thing's going to happen. It's going to basically store it locally, secure database locally on the machine, on the device, and then as I get connected up, it's going to synchronize up. Once SmartForm Manager has it synchronized back up, again, the workflow that's set up, or the business rules that are set up, fire and happen, you know, so it routes to the appropriate people or stores in the appropriate database, and reporting is being done from that aspect. Okay.
That's also very cool. One of the things that, you know, because here we're focused on really the tablet deployment and the mobile field worker, we're showing data capture applications that are optimized for touch-based interfaces. But if we took a laptop computer and pointed it to this application, you know, it would render an HTML application that was optimized for a mouse-based desktop user interface without you having to do anything else. So that's an important part of the equation of the value of the platform.
Yeah, actually, Rod, let's explore that just a little bit while we've got a few minutes here. So I'm going to actually drag over, let me kill the camera off here again. So I'm going to drag over, this is actually Composer, right? So this is the tool set. So I'm not going to go into great detail on to how to build an application, but this is the application that I built for this particular demo, right? You can see my navigation left. You can see all the different fields that I have inside of there. And just as Rod said, I can even preview the different pieces. So if I want to see what this particular form looks like on an HTML optimized for desktop, I could preview it from here. And what we'll see is that same form that we were doing, but it's built for HTML on the desktop. So if I'm exposing this particular form out to, let's say, a web portal, or I'm you know, embedding it into a web page that I've already got, I'm going to be able to do that. Again, the navigation's there. I, as the form builder, just needs to worry about building it once. I don't have to worry about certain things like that. If we go look at it from the HTML tablet perspective, again, we'll see kind of more what we saw over in the device itself, and that's the form and what it looks like. But one of the reasons that I think this is very important when you start talking about a mobile direction for your company, I can't tell you how many times I've worked with customers where they're coming to us after they've made their first attempt at building their application, whether the IT group has done it or they've hired an outside firm. And so they'll find, you know what, we managed to get through it. It cost us what we thought we were going to get it through for, you know, 50K, 100K, whatever it is. It turned out to be more, and now what they're having is they've got changes that need to be done, and they're finding out that they're looking at another 50K or another 100K to make those changes go. So let's say in the case here I needed to add a new you know, field to my application. I could drag that on and say, you know, we want you know, something called property name here. Keep it on the same line, give it a field size. It's going to lay that out for me. I could basically save it, and let's just publish that out to our particular device here, right? Actually, it's not to the device. It's actually pushing out to SmartForm Manager. So let's just publish that out. So we've made that change. Now I'm logged in as a user that has, that has a lot of capability. So I'm going to basically say that's the group I want it to go in. That's the one I want. But I could basically push that into play.
Basically what Jeff is showing you here is how you just configure the service into deployment. It's all point and click.
Yeah, and so that quickly I could go in there. The next time the field worker synchronized up, they're going to see that new field, right? And so it just gives you that quick capability to make changes like that. So so again, when I'm in this console here, this is really looking at it more from a operations perspective or a forms management perspective. It gives me those kind of capabilities, and that also highlights some of the things that you know Rod was talking about as well. When we talk about SmartForm Manager, we can see the entire transaction hub of everything that's going on in our universe, whether it's portals that we've got set up, web pages we got set up, or field worker. We can see where they came in, when the submission was, and get all kinds of details about that. There's that adverse effects one. We can see who was logged into the application, what template they used, what the status was, were there attachments that went with it? Again, remember we had an attachment with this one, so we could see that, if there were payments made. All the information is being, basically all the things around that transaction are being gathered, recorded, and then pushed to the proper spot to make sure delivery happens, right? So it's kind of that transaction hub. And at the same standpoint, we can go in and look at analytics like Rod talked about and get more insight into what's actually going on with the different forms that I set up and the different, whether it's customer self-service or field workers, whatever the case is, get a, how many are coming in, how many are active, how many were abandoned, what type of device, if you've got a large contingent of bring your own device, you'll be able to know what are they coming in with. So as you're making changes to the forms, you can support, the people out into the field. How long is it taking to render? All the information you're going to need to know about what's going on is kind of built into these kind of dashboards to, to dive in and get more insight into what's going on. So with that, I think we've seen how we can grab things out in the field, have all the forms that we need to have available to us, and be able to open those up through that form interface. And then we also saw how we can have items assigned out to us with pre-filled information that I can go out and do, right? And again, these forms can really take on any kind of look and feel. So I'll even open one different one here. Here's a form that basically, a traditional audit where I'm going to go out to maybe a restaurant type environment and be able to audit, how well they're doing. If I come into, this particular section, you can see, I'm giving it the score. Did they pass? Did they, and they didn't. So very quickly, automatically building, what that grade's going to be, where they're at, so we can kind of see what's going on. So all the intelligence you're going to need that you need into these data capture applications very easily build into the different data collection pieces and push out to your field workers, whether it's assigned or just doing it ad hoc. So with that, Rod, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Jeff. That was terrific, as always. Okay, so we've spoken for 45 minutes and showed a couple of really neat demos, so this is your turn. You've hung with us throughout the whole demo. If you want to ask questions, you can just type them into the question box below, and we'll be happy to field those questions as they come in. Ask us anything. We're here for you. We'll be happy to answer it. In the meantime, while you're considering that, as we always close these out, if you're interested, send us a form. Send it right to me, rhodgman@avoka.com. If you send us something that you think is something that you're considering for field workers, either in sales or service, send us that, and we'll put a representation. We'll convert a representation using the platform and show it to you, what it looks like in a touch-based interface on an iPad or an Android device, whatever you're interested in. And then lastly, this, as I said before, we did the customer demonstrations. As I said before, this was the second of our 3 webinar series. The first one was on self-service. This one was on mobile field worker. And the next one is next week, which we're going to dive into the platform. So the last 2 webinars, the self-service webinar and this webinar, we've taken the time to show you what the user experience is, either for the customer interacting on your website or enrolling or applying. on your website, being able to execute these complex transactions on any device, or in this case the mobile field worker, being able to take that tablet out in the field to do data collection, what that user experience is like. And in the last of this series on November 13th, we're going to dive into the platform and show you how quickly you can create these applications, how easy it is to deploy these applications, and how you can manage and optimize this environment to make sure that your users are getting the best possible experience that you can deliver, and make sure that you're getting the best results for your investment. So we got a few more minutes. We're going to wait and see if we get any questions for a few more minutes, and if not, we hope to see you on the next webinar. You can go to our webpage, our events page at www.avoka.com/events.html if you want to be able to, actually the correct URL is at the top of the screen here, which is a little bit longer. It's www.avoka.com/content/avoka/n/company/events.html. But if you just go to our homepage, you'll be able to navigate there pretty simply through 2 clicks. And we hope to see you there. So it looks like we don't have any questions from our audience this afternoon. So I want to thank you all for attending this. If you do have any questions, or if you do want to take a look at what your form might look like as a mobile-based application, send me an email, send me a form. Thank you all very much.